We have been studying a very delightful portion in Canto 1, Book 4, describing the birth of Savitri, who has come from our other countries. And she lays sheltered in wordless sleep, guarded by some missioned power. And this glorious seed is slowly growing. But soon the link of soul with form grew sure. We explained this important line, but I would like to repeat this concept in view of the large number of new friends who are present, and because this line is a kind of a key to one phase of our yoga. He describes, but soon the link of soul with form grew sure. In almost all children, when they are born, the soul takes time to affirm itself. After 9 months or more of gestation, when the body is thrust forward, it comes as a shock. The light, the glare, and what else? And the body, the physical body, takes time to adjust itself to the new environment. The soul assuming that it is already there in the body. I mention this because certain souls, highly developed, do not enter into the body immediately, because that tender body cannot support the soul, which is vibrating with a different kind of consciousness. So, the soul, such a soul, normally hovers round the womb and goes on preparing the body within for its habitation. At times it happens that even after the body is born, the soul hovers in the environment and goes on exerting its vibrations and enters into the body after it has been developed enough to hold it. Now, once the soul is inside, whether it has entered after the birth or before, usually, mother says, that the soul enters into the body after it is delivered. When we say the body is alive, there is a life force. The soul enters afterwards. Now, in the process of growth, the soul needs constant support from the physical body, from the nervous mechanism that is in the body. And if there is a lag between the growth of the soul becoming conscious and the capacity of the body to support the soul, there are illnesses. The children cry for no apparent reason. They get fever, all kinds of imbalances. I have seen mother describing how a particular child is grown up now and that person has children of his own. So I am telling a story of about 35 years ago. She says the parents of the child were every day complaining to mother that the child is getting fever, and a very high fever. And the doctor could not diagnose it. So after hearing them for a number of days, mother said that she sees, when she sees the child, the soul is becoming big and big. She can see the expression on the face. But because of the disharmony between the body and the soul, there is this fever. It will not yield to medical treatment. Don't take him to the doctor. Leave it there. Obviously, she must have done something. And things became all right. So it is very important in the infant growth of children that the soul must be allowed to grow at its own pace and the body nourished and kept in an atmosphere of harmony, supportive vibrations. And slowly the link gets formed between the soul and the body. And the child starts growing rapidly, taking interest in things, showing signs of consciousness, being aware. But as it grows, leaves the period of childhood and enters into the period of boyhood or girlhood, there is a veil. Veil imposed by outer contacts, outer circumstances, the parents' atmosphere, and by the time they grow, the soul is completely veiled. And that is the case with 99% of human beings. The soul within is completely lost sight of in their preoccupation with their ego, desire, vital push, mental thought processes, and what not. Nobody ever thinks of the soul inside. And the soul, mind you, is the fulcrum. whether we are aware of it or not, the soul is the center. And yoga, spiritual discipline, even religion in its pure form, is designed to recover this link between the outer personality and the soul, which in our teaching it is called the psychic being. Now, there is one common confusion in the mind of people who come to read the books of Sri Aurobindo and Mother, and that is, they have the traditional idea, conception that the self is immutable, uninvolved, eternal, unchanging. So the question comes, I received the other day also a question, and how do you speak of the soul growing by experience? Now here, you will kindly note, I am digressing from the subject with a purpose, and that is, behind every object in this universe, there is what is called in English the spirit, a concentrated spirit supporting this, keeping this in existence. In the Indian tradition, we call it the self, the Atman. The Atman is the divine support or sustenance, supporting everything in existence. It supports impartially. Good, bad, high, low, it has no relevance to this immutable spirit which we call Atman self. Now, this self is not involved in the movement of evolution or manifestation of the divine consciousness. So this self puts forth, as it were, a projection, a delegate into the movement of evolution. And that is what is called the soul spark. And this soul spark goes on growing with the life experience. A spark becomes an entity. That entity develops into a person. That person develops a personality. Now all that relates to the self, that's to the psychic being. And the psychic being is nothing else except the soul in evolution. There is a part of the soul which is not involved in evolution, and that is the self. The part that is involved and grows in evolution is the psychic being. We have a mental being, we have a vital being, we have a physical being, we have a psychic being. The difference is, whereas the physical being, the vital, the mental, they are all in a scale of evolution. The psychic being supports them from behind. It draws the essence of experience through all these beings and grows towards the parent Godhead. To become aware of this psychic being within, which is a delegate of the divine conscious, divine being, to bring it forward as a governing agent in life, to organize life activities around the psychic presence, is the first important step in this integral yoga. Having said that, you will appreciate the importance of not only becoming aware of the psychic, that is soul, but forging a link so that there is a constant flow of consciousness, and that flow expresses itself in guidance, in joy, in love, in so many characteristic qualities which beautify your life, which elevate your life, which add new dimensions of delight, ecstasy, and peace. So this linkage of the outer being with the soul is the first major step in this yoga, or in any kind of yoga. The names may be different, but to get back from complete involvement in external activities and become aware of something within which is totally different in kind and pattern and texture, and learn to periodically withdraw from the outer gyrations of ego, desire, restlessness, and retire into oneself, breathe the silence of the soul, taste the sweetness of the soul, have a glimpse of the eternity of the soul. That should be possible for those who meditate. Now, meditation is intended just for this purpose, to enable you for a while to extricate yourself from the compulsions of time and space in day-to-day life, and find a corner in yourself where for a while you can be free, you can be open to the influence of the soul. And this periodical, regular discipline, to conceive of it in the mind. Nobody ever gets it in a day or even a year. You have to imagine. God has given us the imaginative faculty to prepare for something which is not actual into a real one day. Imagination, Mother explains, is there on purpose. We may waste it, that's another matter. But it is a God-given faculty to create in our mind, in our horizon, an image of what is not there but what is going to be there. Long before the Wright brothers designed the aeroplane, the image, the imagination, all that, they were very strong. And it is only after these exercises of imagination, structured as it were, the subtle forms, that the concrete physical forms came to be. So we have to use in the beginning imaginative faculty. Mother describes, for instance, you close your eyes and she says in the conversations, earliest conversations, as when you enter a temple, you leave the shoes outside and then enter. So when you go into meditation, she says, leave all the baggage outside. That's what Sri Aurobindo says in Savitri. In moments when the inner lamps are lit and the life's cherished guests are left outside, our spirit sits alone and speaks to its gulfs. So you leave your shoes, mental shoes and vital shoes outside. Stay quiet and you imagine that there are a series of steps leading to the innermost chamber where there is the divine. And you step by step you traverse. Use breath if you like, if you need. Imagine there is a rope, the breath is the rope, and you follow it. You go deep and deep and deep. A thought comes, you are caught unawares. Don't struggle with the thought. Ignore the thought. Pull yourself back and pursue that journey. Strenuous for a while, but after a time, when it gets a habit, regular, there is something that pulls you inside. Like a magnet. Once you are dead serious about it, you want to reach that. And you gather all your energies and plunge. You go step by step. Or to give you the Vedic imagery, the imagery given by the Vedic rishis, you imagine there is a well, a deep well inside, and it is a well of honey. Honey is divine delight, the delight of existence. And you go there, ignoring all calls from outside, and you get the first taste of honey in a vibration of self-existent joy. The difference between the joy within, the joy of the soul, and the pleasure outside is this. Pleasure, human joy, they depend on outer circumstances. But the soul's joy, the divine delight, what Sri Aurobindo calls the delight of existence, it is self-existent. You have only to awake to it and it throbs. There is no need of any excitation, any cause for making it throb. It is always throbbing on its own. And that is natural to the soul. For those who do not find it natural to go into the heart, there is the overhead experience. Above your thinking mind, there is a vast sea of silence. And you just make the mind quiet and keep it open like an open vessel. Slowly, there is a kind of descent. You feel a pressure. If you are rough, if you are raw, if you are not ready, if you are impure, impure means given to distractions, that heaviness develops into a headache. But don't take aspirin for it. It won't go with that. Just relax. And once this connection is made between yourself and what is overhead, that is called the spiritual dimension. This is inside is the psychic dimension. Above is the spiritual dimension. And the spiritual is more impersonal. The psychic here is more personal. Both are necessary, but one starts where one feels it natural. Whichever way, you have to establish a link with the divine reality within or above. Let us not enter into the question of around. Guarding Savitri, protecting the child, working to establish the connection between the soul within and the form without. That became sure. And what happened afterwards? What was the result? Flooded was the dim cave with slow, conscient light. What was a dim, unlit cave in which the seed was sprouting? That was flooded with slow, conscient light. The child can't bear a dazzling light. So he says, a slow, conscient light pervaded the whole cave, and the seed grew into a delicate, marvelous bud. What was a seed? The soul seed grows into a wonderful bud, and the bud disclosed a great and heavenly bloom. It has bloomed. A regular entity has come into being. At once she seemed to found a mightier race. Though she is such a small child, the fact that she has come into her own, it gave the promise of founding a greater and a mightier race than the human race. Arrived upon the strange and dubious globe, our globe is for that child which has come from heaven something very strange, something very dubious, whose character is not certain. The child remembering inly a far home. The child remembers inly, not in the outer memory. Mark the word inly, a typically sheer window expression. The child remembers inly, somewhere deep inside, its far home. Her home is there. She has come here on this strange and dubious globe. The child remembering inly a far home lived, guarded in her spirit's luminous cell. There was a kind of luminous wall around this Savitri's being. Alone mid men in her diviner kind, though she was surrounded by so many human beings, she lived alone. She lived alone in her divinity, in her divine nature, amid men. And still, he says, the poet describes, even in her childish movements could be felt the nearness of a light still kept from earth. A light is come, but the earth cannot yet bear it, cannot support it. So, in her childish movements, one could feel that some light which the earth can't yet bear, it is somewhere near. The nearness of a light still kept from earth, feelings that only eternity could share. Her feelings were such that ordinary mortals could not share them. Only eternity could participate in those feelings, thoughts natural and native to the gods. Her thoughts were such that they belonged to the domain of the gods and were natural only to gods, and they were not at all natural to the humankind. To read these few lines again. But soon the link of soul with form grew sure. Flooded was the dim cave with slow, conscient light. The seed grew into a delicate, marvelous bud. The bud disclosed a great and heavenly bloom. At once she seemed to found a mightier race, arrived upon the strange and dubious globe. The child, remembering inly a far home, lived guarded in her spirit's luminous self, alone mid men in her diviner kind. Even in her childish movements could be felt the nearness of a light still kept from earth, feelings that only eternity could share, thoughts natural and native to the gods. Our next session of satsang normally falls on the 15th, Thursday. But Thursday being a version day, we shall meet on the 14th evening at this time, 6:30, 14th evening instead of the 15th. You are all welcome.